There's always a starting point. Literally less than 5,000 to my name 6 years ago. Family members, they said nope.
Anything your mind can conceive, like you'll achieve.
Persistence with hard work and just following my dream to 7 figures net worth.
What's going on, guys? Austin Zaback here with another video. We have a very special guest today. You probably saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. We have Geogre Mevawala.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yes, sir. You got it.
Geogre Mevawala. And this guy is an absolute rock star when it comes to the short-term Airbnb stuff. He's doing a lot of other stuff as well. But you're going to love the podcast. If you've ever had any interest in real estate, especially Airbnb, short-term rentals, and just you like cash flow, right? If you like cash flow, this will be a podcast for you. So make sure you smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It does really help out the channel. And George, I appreciate you being here, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, dude. You're an inspiration to all of us as well in the community, man. So
I appreciate that.
I love being here.
It means the world to me, man. So, I know we've known each other for a little while through like mutual friends, social media, right? And I feel like that's how you meet everybody nowadays. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember the last time I just met somebody like just out and about, it's like somehow or another. And even if I do meet them out and about, they're like, oh no, we already follow each other on social media, right? So, we've known each other for a little while, I feel like, through a lot of this stuff, but we're just meeting now, right?
Right, correct.
And, I've heard amazing things about you also, obviously. You're crushing the game, right? Yeah. And you're young too. Like I said, you're 33. I'm 26. But in all honesty, 33 is young, man. Yeah. Like to do what you're doing, to play at the level you're playing at, it's awesome. It's impressive for sure.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's been great. It's been a lot of persistence with hard work and just following my dream. And if we go back to where I started, I think a lot of people start off kind of with a similar story of they're working an 8 to 5. I was actually in commercial real estate.
Oh, wow.
But I was working an 8 to 5. I was on the commercial property management and leasing side.
Okay.
And so I had a great salary. I worked with, Levros and a lot of the guys in town. And, but I just kind of found myself stuck.
Wow.
And what really started doing it for me was back in 2013 was the first time I decided to house hack Airbnb, my primary.
Okay.
A little 3-bedroom at Bellagio across from the Cubs Stadium they just built. So my ex-girlfriend just left, and I had 2 rooms.
2013 in Bellagio.
2013 in Bellagio.
So, do you know like Cody Barton and all them by any chance?
Yep.
So Cody Barton, I think that was like the same time he lived in the Bellagio, because we were doing home events for Vima back then.
I remember.
In the Bellagio.
I remember Vima, man. I remember that.
I had to interrupt you just because it rang a bell. I was like, that's the Bellagio I'm thinking about, right?
It is. Alex Morton.
Yep, exactly.
But dude, it was just crazy. It was kind of like I had another friend. This is actually before Airbnb popped off. This is back when we used VRBO, and Vacation Rental by Owner. And one of my buddies was telling me he had a couple of units at Maya in Old Town, and these are back when they were 100K. Yeah. Now they're 360.
Yeah.
And we basically he was renting them out as short-term rentals. He's like, dude, you're across from the Cubs Stadium. Why don't you try? Long story short, I threw it up during spring, made my entire mortgage in 2.5 months.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I grossed $15,000 January through March. And I was like, I got to figure out a way. This is scalability here.
And that was pre-Airbnb.
This is like Airbnb was just kind of making its way out, but I wasn't using it yet. I was using VRBO.
Got it.
So I think that next year was my first year. I think 2014 I registered on Airbnb, and I actually like the platform a lot better. There's a lot more. It's a lot easier. It's like more user friendly, millennial friendly, and especially if you have multiples. When you start scaling, adding multiple account, a lot of like little logistical things like that. But really, that kind of was the year where I was like, I got to get in the short-term rental game. So I kind of bought a long-term rental with my parents out in Old Town at Sunscape Villas, and we didn't Airbnb that one that next year. But then my boss, when my 8 to 5 was kind of started to poke at me and doing you're 15 minutes late. I'm like, 8:15. I'm like, really? And then like, what are you doing? On your lunch break, you're going and looking at properties with real. Started to just get upset that I was looking into my future, really. Yep. So we kind of had a little scuff, and I just kind of realized this isn't for me, and I want to go over to residential. And so fast forward to this is now late 2016. I decided to go all in on residential and hang my license with the firm I'm with now, Dwellings Realty, and that's kind of where I started to kind of jump into as a buyer's agent, and also just my own investments, and kind of focus on growing the short-term rental pond that I was in. So
because it worked hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you as opposed to the commercial thing, it was just kind of, that was a little bit left field, I feel like, in the beginning. And because I'm similar to you, I guess it's really similar actually. And I got into wholesaling first, and we wholesaled, and I wholesaled for a while. I did pretty well, and I had mentors and everything. And then I got into, and then I became an agent, and a retail residential agent, right? And then and now we do it all, we do both.
Exactly.
And now I'm like where I want to get more into the short-term game.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
This is an interesting time for that right now.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And even, it was a lot easier, when I started buying, when we really started, I think 2015, 16, and 17, each year I picked up at least 3 or 4 doors. Those were back when pricing was, as we know, quite a bit cheaper. So the cash-on-cash returns were a lot better than, let's say, fast forward to now, 2021 going to 2022, where, let's say, Old Town homes now are pushing 900 to $1 million. Same homes we were getting for 455. But the good news is, rates have gone up too.
Have they gone up in the same capacity or equivalent to?
Not quite, because of COVID disrupted things a little bit, but we were really able to come back strong over the summer of COVID. So June, a lot of people like last summer were like, "Oh my God, George, are you okay?"
Weird. Yeah.
I was like, "Dude, it was April and May were those horrible months. June, July, August, everyone was coming out to Arizona wanting private homes with pools." So we were grossing, $7,000 to $9,000 on the houses during the summer, which is really good. Sometimes we gross like 4-ish to 5-ish, which is slow season. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is awesome. Like, we actually needed to grow. And that's when my management company grew a little bit more too. We picked up some more accounts from clients that acquired. Because, now everyone that bought in 2020 is up like 38%.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But no, it's awesome. But I would say that the rates have gone up. They probably average out 5 to 7% a year.
Okay.
Where every it's a real seasonal thing. So as we know out here, spring and winter are our big seasons. Spring this year, for example, I have for my house is $1,000 a night for Phoenix Open. I don't change that, and I'm getting those bookings. Whereas last time around it was $800 a night. Okay. So we test out the waters on certain parts. But the beautiful thing about it, man, is that when you start to do it, even like a couple out of Idaho that bought one off me, that they branched out on their own. Dude, they just got a 3-month, $16,000 booking on their house, and they were jumping up and down. They weren't even super hosts yet. So that's the cool thing about this is once you it's all about your brand, as we both know. Your brand is so great. Everything that you touch, your office, everything. And same thing with Airbnb. It's don't put up those crappy photos. Don't try and do it yourself. Go get Lister Pros, spend $150. There's a lot of things I learned in the beginning, even back to when I had a professional baseball player staying at one of my units in the beginning, and me and one of my buddies we couldn't get maids, so we were trying to clean it ourselves back in 2014. But we look back now, we laugh, and we're like, my God, what were we doing? The guy went to go play for the Cubs, but dude, it's all a part of your story, but really, Airbnb is your brand because we're a review-driven business. I worked hard to be a 4.9 star. We got 1,700 reviews, and every now and then you can't make everyone happy, but we've learned that. But the whole point is that most people are going to click on and they want to see an average 4.8. Okay, this looks good. It looks like it's going to be clean. I'm going to be happy here. Pool's going to be usable. They're going to have pool towels. And those are important things.
They are. The little things.
The little
details.
Things. Always the little details.
So you currently have, give or take, 11 properties in Old Town.
Correct.
Okay. 85251 for people watching and listening, maybe that don't live in Arizona, in Scottsdale, Arizona, right? Phenomenal area.
Yes.
Yes.
Very,
absolutely. Very close to where we're at right now.
Yeah. We're really close. We've got so 11 that I own, but then the managed and owned portfolio is about in the low 30s.
Okay.
And most of our properties are in South Scottsdale.
Got it.
And then we do have some up in Kierland.
Okay.
A little bit outskirts, one in Cave Creek, 1 in Flagstaff, and 2 in Mesa.
Is 85251 by far the best area for you guys? Like
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Got it.
85251 is, I always kind of compare it to kind of like if you're in California, you're in like 90210, like you're Beverly Hills.
Yep.
And I think that's also why the houses here had seen houses, condos, townhouses, we'll just say properties have seen the most appreciation. Everybody wants to be here.
Yep.
And, you know, even if it's guys' golf trip, girls' bachelorette parties, family trips, everybody wants to go to Camelback Mountain.
They do.
It's kind of the same. So in our all access guides, we'll have like our local recommendations, favorites.
Yeah, they want to go to the Montauk
culinary
dropout.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
If they want to go to a bar, you got to shout out Bottle Blonde.
Right.
All the good places that we love, that we know that are going to take care of them.
Toca Madera, right?
Of course.
Yeah, for sure. Nobu. I mean, you got them all, man. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, now, do you think that I don't know nearly as much as you do, and I'm just curious. Like, do you think that over time, is it possible that market, and maybe it is, it's already begun, gets a bit saturated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's so funny you mentioned that. We haven't really ever noticed it. I average out about 82% occupancy a year, but the first time I felt it or felt a weird wave of it was this past August. August, I had a couple houses that just no bookings, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But then all the other ones were filled or doing the way they normally do. It was, I think, the first time, but I also felt like it was kind of a weird month with traveling and everything. But now I was starting to get a little fearful of saturated. I'm like, are we getting too saturated now? But then things have just picked right back up to where October is where things get really busy out here.
I believe it.
And I mean, I feel like a Joe Schmo that threw one up, an Airbnb, if they kind of knew what they were doing, would still get bookings.
Wow.
As long as they, the biggest part of this game is communication.
Yep.
And your systems, staying on top of it, and addressing every single message, which, as we both know, there's great systems for, which has been a blessing for us, is just being able to take advantage of all the, economies of scale that are at our fingertips nowadays with technology.
It's insane.
Which is why we could get this thing to like 65 or 70 doors.
Wow.
And still probably not need to hire too much more sporadically.
So I have so many questions, and I love where this is going, because I think there's so much value for people watching and listening. I think a lot of what we talk about can be implemented all around the country.
Absolutely.
And theoretically all around the world.
Yep.
I know, and that money follows a good deal, right? Yeah. That being said, I think a lot of people still get tripped up on that.
Yeah.
So here's a guy that gets out of commercial real estate. Obviously, you did well for yourself, and you did really well in residential real estate. And I'm sure it wasn't too big of an issue for you. But what were some of the challenges that you initially faced with because I know, like, even for me, like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they still give me a hard time.
Yeah.
When I go to buy property, right? Because
Multiple.
I'm writing off a bunch of stuff, and so they're looking at my income and they're saying, on paper, right? What were some of the challenges that you faced when initially acquiring these properties and getting going?
Great question. The initial problem that I faced is that I was broke. So I did what anyone else does, is they go to their network.
Yep.
I went to my parents first. They said nope. I went to my family members. They said nope. Then they jumped on the bandwagon once things got good. I went to everyone I knew, every investor, every friend. I found one investor friend of mine who I got to give a shout out to. We actually just sold that first property that we bought together, and we sold it for almost 100% return from what we bought it for. He believed in it, believed in the model. I showed him some proof of how we had done it with my primary. And he's like, let's do it. Yeah. So we bought a little old townhouse for $156 cash, and put like 25 into that, and got that thing, turned it into, when I say machine, it's just a word for Airbnb rockstar. That first year we were at like 83% to 85% occupancy. We grossed, I think, $34,000, which was pretty good for the numbers.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then I knew at that point, from the posting and stuff on social media, fraternity brother, Mike, oh dude, what's going on out there in Arizona? I want one. All of a sudden a little clout gets buzzed, but it's more like organic. And all of a sudden people were like, hey, I want an Airbnb. Yeah. So I kind of went on that buyer's agent angle there, helping people get them to. Yep. Then, a couple other people that I'd gone to. So initially, to answer that question, because I'm in the same boat, Freddie and Fan, the first couple of years, I used the knowledge and, hey, let me go in with like whatever I can, even if it's my commission and my sweat equity, let me partner up. Let's use your
bankability
because you're got your 8 to 5 6-figure leverage, and let's work this out. And no one ever said no.
Of course. And I love that. And I think it's a huge golden nugget, right, for people listening, because people let that get in their own way. I did for a long time. You know, it wasn't until a year or two ago where I really started to say, okay, I need to own more real estate. We flipped, 1,000 houses, I wholesaled, and I got to a point where I said, we're making a ton of cash flow, but every time I would wholesale a deal or get rid of it, I'm like, I should have kept it. I should have kept it. I should have kept it,
Absolutely, man.
And so I think it's important that people understand, like, hey, like, your network is your net worth, and you got to find people in the beginning that'll partner with you.
Right. And there's no shame in that game. And really it was a valuable lesson too, because I think the biggest thing on that though is to make sure though that you partner up with people that you trust. Luckily, I've never been wronged. It's all worked out. But the way that we treated these investments was that, hey, we're going to jump in these. We're going to set up our partnership. We're going to set up our, all of our statutes and everything. We're going to set up our rules. And we're going to try and build as much cash flow with the intent that neither of us are going to take a draw. And that's always been the mentality. Now I have 13 LLCs. Same way where, every time I want to get a new loan, my lenders want to pull their hair out. But it's easier now that we've got a trail, multiple years of it. But now, not only just up until 3 years ago, I was able to really start buying properties on my own.
Amazing,
But what the great thing about those treasure chests in the beginning, all those, was that because there was so much appreciation that for both partners, it amounted to quite a bit.
Right, you were just building. I mean,
we're just building, exactly.
You're in building season. And I think everybody goes through that season where they're just in build mode, right? You've got to build a foundation, infrastructure. Because you were also, another aspect that you're not mentioning, but maybe, and it's what I'm picking up on, right? Is you were also building the management side of it, right?
Cash flow.
So that's what you got good at, so because remember, at 4.9 stars out of 5, there's some management that happens there.
Absolutely.
Right?
It was one of my good friends calls it the trifecta, because it's we got the sale, then you get the management, and then you get the reviews, and then the building up of the relationship, which builds down the client. And the good news about this from that side too, most of my clients, when they get the first, they're so hungry for the second within 6 months.
They're ready to roll.
So the average one of my clients right now probably owns 3.
That's amazing.
And so I love it that way too. And I'm very keen on when they get. It's always like a kid going to Six Flags that first time. I'm like, take a simmer. Let's get this first one. Let's get you some cash flow. Let's get you feeling good, and then we'll look at number 2. Let's not double dip at first.
Sure.
So we don't take on more than we can chew.
Sure.
And up until this market being so crazy, I have a design team. Well, my girl designs all of our Airbnbs. I had a contractor that pretty much was my right-hand man, but now he's too busy.
Sure.
Just organic sale, just my sales portfolio, even friends buying and stuff, keep that man very, very, very well fed. So I couldn't keep him just on my payroll without being like, hey man, funny thing is, the first thing he ever wanted from me back in 2015, he goes, hey George, buy me a truck. I wish I could go back and bought him that truck. But,
I know, right?
But he's killing it now.
That's awesome.
But it's just
that's really
crazy.
cool, man.
It's crazy.
So do you have a lot of your management now? I know that managing, I've heard, right? I don't have any experience in it, but is you really got to be on top of it. I mean, there's no room really for error. And like you said, I mean, it's the experience that people are looking for, right? So is the people that manage your stuff, are they virtual or are they in house for you?
It's virtual part-time, but it's in house most of the time.
Got it.
So basically, right now someone's monitoring it and overseeing everything. I have access to it. There's an assistant property manager that has access to it, and then my girlfriend has access to it, and then our maids. It's kind of cool with all these systems. Our maids basically, their software links up to Airbnb, so every time we get a booking, they know when it is.
Got it.
They send us a text message, an email. Everything is so hands down. If they go there and there's a broken shade or a rug is ruined or pillowcase or bedding, they immediately report it to us.
Got it.
They handle all the beddings and stuff. They change them out. We really buttoned things up these last couple of years from the back when I used to be handling all the messaging. I'd be waking up to 45, trying not to have a stroke at 31. But no, it's amazing what you learn, because I'm not a super I love technology. a millennial still, even though but like I'm not like super good with stuff. But like when I found out all these things that were available for, Airbnb managers, Airbnb owners, it just blew me away.
Wow.
Like all these cool different softwares that like these Guestleys and things offer. Highly recommend it for anyone that's looking into managing more than 2 units to looking into some type of an automation system.
Would that be what you would say, like your biggest, like, because obviously like what I love about your story and really anybody that is self-made like yourself, right, is that, they can always look back and say, I wouldn't change anything. Everything happened for a reason, right? I learned, and I grew and I evolved.
Right.
And, but then I always ask anyways, like, well, what's like a few things or one thing that, you would, like, what's that kind of one thing that you think you kind of wish you would have known back then? Is it like, hey, all the software that you can utilize, or is it you should have built a team sooner? You should have gone bigger sooner.
If I could have gone back, my biggest regret is the real estate investor side of me. When I started with the condos, I wish I would have dove into single family homes, because my first client that brought the single family home to me, he bought 2 that summer of 16 off of me, and we immediately got those fired up, and these are back when houses in Old Town were $368. One just sold on his block for $790. And I was like, man, but at the same time, I had to crawl before I could buy. So really at that time, all we could, without getting hard money and stuff involved, all I really had access to was the condos, the 1,000 square foot townhouses, but that stuff did good. And I'm very happy that I learned the logistics of that before diving into the houses, where now I want to go into the multifamily. Now I want 34 doors.
For sure. Grant Cardone style, right?
It's just harder right now, as we both know there's no inventory.
That was kind of my next question. It leads me to my next thing. You've kind of really, to a certain degree, you've mastered the short term, right? Obviously, there's always more to learn and what have you, but to a certain degree, you kind of know what you're doing there at a very high level.
Right.
Do you see yourself owning more long-term rentals as well and diversifying in that area? Or
great question too. I own 2 long-term rentals right now. I think I kind of had a bad situation with buying with one of them and having to deal with a long-term tenant that just always pays late, and I decided to give it over to a professional residential property management company that does wonders. And, that was just kind of a bad situation, but I really like short-term rentals, but I could see myself acquiring a couple more long-term rentals, but I'll never do the inherit a tenant lease thing again. That was kind of, I'm sure you've dealt with that with your wholesale, and it's definitely pain, especially during COVID. There were certain things we had to be really careful, but everything's worked out now with that one. But I actually would like to pick up a couple more. I've managed a couple luxury homes, and they usually say stick to what you know, which for me would be like a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, Old Town home, which gross for me grosses like 80 to 100,000 a year.
Okay.
These luxury homes can gross way more than that, but the problem is you're dealing with so much more partying, disrespect, neighbors upset, all the things that could get in the way of the growth of this, the continued growth of this, and not just in Phoenix but Arizona as a full state. I would like a couple luxury homes that I could be very hands-on on. So I'd want to own them. And just get down the system to the T of really keeping those a group of 16 bachelors from Toronto parties out and more family-oriented trips, because they fetch like $1,500 to $2,000 a night.
Yeah, they do. I bet.
And they can do really, really well. I think the hardest part for me sometimes that I learned from growing this was you can't say yes to every inquiry.
Got it.
You got to filter through, go through those reviews sometimes, and this is what my team does too. We pick out, they were here in February. It says that they were knocking on the neighbor's door at 3 a.m. urinating in the front yard. We're not going to we're not going to take a chance on them again.
For sure.
And so, but I would like a couple more long-term rentals, but I really would like to actually expand into a couple other markets.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
And test the boots on from here. Find obviously have a local contact to kind of be a co-partner in it, but really see if we could pull it off. Like, what
other markets come to mind? Maybe you don't want to share. I'm just curious. Or you can even give me the state or whatever.
I think I missed the wave. Another really hot short-term rental market will still continue to be Nashville.
Okay.
They are the number one, but besides from Scottsdale, we're like always neck to neck with them. They're always the number one destination for bachelorette parties. They get so many. There's so much culture there.
Yeah.
I'm from Texas originally. I'm from Houston, so I have a lot of love for Austin.
Yep.
Austin's another good one. It's just the property taxes kill the deals
Yeah.
in Texas, man. If my favorite city in the world is Miami,
Yep.
I wish they were more pro short-term rentals.
I know, they're just not.
Dude, they're just like, they give out astronomical fines.
Yeah.
And they don't mess around.
Especially like downtown, like in Brickell, like we were just in Brickell, and I think there's 2 total buildings that allow the short term.
Yep.
And they're all junk. I mean, the units are junk. The pictures are good, and then you get in there and you're like, this is junk.
This is junk, yeah.
Like I'm the guest leaving the bad review for the host.
Right.
Because I'm like, hey, like in that situation, I'm like, this isn't what it's advertised to be. Right.
Exactly. And
so
I see. I mean, there's so much culture and life, and I just love everything about Miami.
Yeah, me too.
And the nightlife, the vibrance. I would love to be a part of either us expanding or growing something there, but I just know it's not going to happen.
More single family Miami or more like condo?
I think it would be really cool to have like a small mix of both.
Okay.
It'd be so cool to have a few condos and have a couple single families.
Are they, because I know because backtrack to like you were talking Arizona. I've heard some different stuff about like PV wanting to crack down on Airbnb, stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
So like you're getting like these municipalities that are looking at it. Obviously, with condos, it makes sense, right? Because you have the building or the HOA or whatever, right?
Right.
But if you look at like Miami, let's just say you're in a single family, and I don't know as much about Miami maybe as you do, but let's say you're a single family, no HOA. I don't know if that exists in Miami. Maybe it doesn't. Like who's cracking down in that scenario on the Airbnb game?
Great question. It's mostly going to be neighbors that are probably calling. They're going to see the cars going, and they're going to call into the city. And then Miami, I believe Florida as a state in a whole is a little bit different than Scottsdale, where you can kind of fly under the radar until they figure out that you haven't registered your TPT number, and it's a slap on the wrist to get it registered. There, it's kind of if you don't have it registered, and I believe this is the same as Las Vegas, but Henderson now does allow short terms. They'll just mail you $1,000 fine initially, and then it goes up to like 5 and then to 10. Okay. They don't mess around.
Yeah, they don't. No.
And so it wouldn't even be any of those cities jumping into, even now, which kind of crushes my dream, at least for now, for San Diego. Even San Diego, they're now doing a lottery system for the permits, which, as we know, San Diego is just so expensive anyway. Yeah. But I was going to try and get something within like a 4-mile radius from Mission Beach. But now I'm kind of like, but I would say Austin, Texas is always going to be, with Elon there and everything, dude, it's insane. The city's just not. The city is just monster.
Yeah.
I like some hidden gems. Like my family used to own a cabin in Colorado in Estes Park.
Okay.
It's a cool little place in the Rocky Mountains.
Random stuff like that.
Little random places like that could really do really well. And I'm trying to find that next Scottsdale. I really am. It's hard.
It's going to be out there, I feel like, because there is going to be, obviously, I mean, like a huge market for short-term Airbnb,
absolutely.
Always, right? Whether it's on that platform or different platform. Short-term, on your phone, user interfaces like, you know what I mean? So whether it's Airbnb or something else eventually, there will be a market for that.
Always.
Always, right?
The hotel industry's been disrupted.
Yeah.
And although it is coming back as more people are starting to travel, it's never going to be the same.
No, it'll never be the same. Because you're going to have now, there's I mean, even me, right? Like there's times where I want to go stay at the W.
Yep.
And, I want, because I just know exactly what I'm going to get. And but then there's times where I want the pool. I want the backyard.
Exactly.
I want to go there with a couple buddies, right? And maybe their girlfriends or something.
Right.
And I don't want to be at the W in two double beds, And so.
It's different from when you're going to Miami with your girl versus with a few friends to Lake Tahoe.
Exactly.
Lake Tahoe, let's get that cabin.
Yeah.
Miami, I want to stay at the Dub.
100%. Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. So it just depends, depends on, and I feel like there's so many different people that, because during COVID, even like for me, at the time that COVID was happening, I lived in a It just so happened that I lived with one of my buddies in a almost like a townhouse.
Okay.
And we didn't have a private pool, and we had a community pool.
Yeah.
And they shut down our community pool.
Oh,
so
man.
we were renting Airbnbs in Old Town just so we could lay out by the pool.
Yeah.
Like when COVID first happened.
Yep.
You know, like I would say like May of 2020.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
lived here, like 2 minutes from Old Town.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just because I wanted the backyard, you know.
Yeah.
So obviously, nothing other than that would have done me any good with that circumstance, you
Right.
know. So there's always gonna. Hopefully, it's never that again, but
I hope not. Yeah,
you know, obviously, but there will always be a reason that people want to stay in an Airbnb.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and also just the fact that you got so many people like my dad who were never open
Yeah.
to it, who now are staying at it.
Yeah.
You know, you got these 65-plus-year-old men, this whole new other demographic of
Yep.
let's book an Airbnb or VRBO, and you know, they're traditionally hotel only
Yeah.
guys and gals.
How do you? What question that comes to my mind is you're super busy. You're a real
Yeah.
estate agent. You're a buyer's agent. You're a seller's agent. I see you doing deals all the time.
Yeah.
I see you on social media. You own a decent amount of your own Airbnbs. You also have a decent amount with partners and
Yep.
stuff like that. You have an office. You know, how do you manage it all?
It's tough, man. You know, I think the best way I like to say it is that I think every day I wake up, I just feel so blessed and happy in this next phase now where I'm trying to get back into shape, right? Like, you know, it's crazy. You get so busy sometimes. And I think right now I've hit a lot of my financial goals, at least from the last 5 years, where I'm like, health is the new wealth. It's like, I want to get back to the old George. I got like 30 pounds to lose here. But the good news is that it's all obtainable, man. Like, I think my rock would be kind of my girl is always there. She's so like knows that I'm not getting home till 10:30. Always has my back, takes care of our little Frenchie. And you know, just really just keeping a good circle. I think they really truly do say, you know, we all can look back to when we were the rock star of our friends in college or high school or whenever we were the man, and you really truly realize as every year you get older, how valuable your relationships are, and your circle does get smaller. You look back sometimes like, man, I miss those good times with that person, but I haven't heard from that person. They weren't there for me, this or that, or vice versa. People grow apart, but there's nothing better than to just know that you've got some solid day ones in your crew that aren't yes men, good business partners and great family, and or good spouse partner, and really that's truly helped keep me together because these 60, 70 hour works, they can be overwhelming. As you know, like just sometimes you just feel like it's too much. You got to just take a deep breath and realize that like, that's the power of giving back, you know? And for me, I told myself when I did this, why I saw so much success. A lot of people in the beginning didn't understand why I was handing over the playbook. They're like, George, you're kind of like, because I teach my clients how to, like, you should be turning this into this tell all or this software or this or that. I was like, look, man, I want to keep it simple. I just want people to win. Yeah. And that's always been my mentality, you know? And so I feel like you do good to those, good will be done to you.
Always.
And that's kind of golden rule type mentality has been very successful in my career. And so, yeah, it's just really keeping a really solid network, small network of people that you trust, but then always be open to meeting new others and never standoffish to anyone.
Yeah, I like that, man. I love that mentality. I think it's just an incredible mentality. It's a mentality that I've acquired over the years.
Yes.
I'm younger than you. I've got a lot to learn, a lot of growth, obviously. But you know, when you're serving other people, you know, I talk about it every day on social media. Like, just give, serve, love, help, be there, be a friend, be a good, like, just be a good person, right? Have integrity, like, do the right thing. And you will literally anything your mind can conceive, like, you'll achieve because, like, you know, you're just doing the right thing. You're out there doing the right thing, right?
Absolutely.
So to always, like, your goals will always be fulfilled automatically. So I really, really value that. And I think it's a huge takeaway. If you're watching, you know, definitely smash the like button, Kate. It'll help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And also go back and re-listen to that. I think that was obviously incredible. So, you know, we've been here for a little while. So I have like one or two more questions and we'll kind of wrap up. I know people are getting a ton of value out of this. So, you know, what is right now? You got all this going on, right? You're obviously you're wanting to give. Which, by the way, I just did. I got super out of shape during COVID, and in March, I think, dude, I hadn't worked out in 2 years.
Man,
It was like, and so in March, I made the decision. I started to go every day again, and I'm finally getting back to a point where I feel a lot better. And, and same situation though. I just got busy, man. And I didn't think about it. And one day I looked up and I looked in the mirror. I was like, what the heck, And but anyway, so with where you're at right now, and it could be business, personal, whatever. What is like the one, like what's a big challenge that you're kind of facing right now with like maybe getting to that next level, or like getting to like wherever it is that you're trying to go? Like what's that one thing maybe that you're seeing at your level where you're like, man, like this is kind of a roadblock I'm up against, and you're determined to overcome that,
That's a great question. I think really directly the biggest issue from what that next growth level would be in pertaining to some bigger multifamily deals that I want to do in just limited inventory. But that also comes down to me needing to spend more time and holding myself accountable for searching more in high and low. Because as we know, there's always a deal out there. There's always a deal out there. And what I'm so amazed by you is the whole wholesaling. I've always been so fascinated by that too, and kind of the systems that you guys build and whatnot. The opportunities, that come across, that's the type of stuff that I'd like to get more involved in and kind of find my way to get like, hey, this value add 12plex, boom, you got any interest? Let's gobble it.
Yeah.
Because I can get the capital. It's just, that's probably, that from the investor side in me would be the biggest kind of challenge or obstacle that I'm dealing with right now. But then I think the other part would be from more of a personal level, would be kind of like just sometimes being okay with taking a step back and just being like, dude, it's okay. You're human. Yeah. Like you can't make everyone happy every single day. Whether that be from an Airbnb perspective of that 1 out of 400 reviews, I don't let it get to me anymore. Whether it be, can't get to every single, I try to, but I really try to get to every single like client in that given week. And that's kind of why it's a balance. Yeah. It's all about balancing. I'm just trying to get a little bit better at balancing everything.
Yeah. I like that a lot, man. I think it's super real. It's super authentic, and it's something I feel like a lot of people struggle with, including myself, I'm a people pleaser by nature. Yeah. And I didn't think I was for a long time. Like I would hear that like saying, and I was like, oh, it's not me, And then I found myself saying yes to everybody and everything. And I was like, wait a minute, like that is me, Yeah. And you got to get good because you stress yourself out and you're anxious all the time. And it's like, it's a balance. Everything's a balance, right?
Yeah. Everything in moderation is what my dad always said. And sometimes it's hard for me to really fathom that because it's like, no, Dad, like you got to go out tour 24 different homes in 2 days, followed by this. And like, for example, right now I have a closing coming up on the 2nd. I'm buying another house in Old Town right now that, got to get that thing right. There's always a mixture of like acquisitions and multiple things and making clients happy, finishing up 3 designs right now, get those live, and then new list. You know how it is. It's just everything. You got to just kind of woosah. It's gonna be okay. Right. And so we are human, and it's natural that sometimes let it be and just like let things go organically. That's kind of what I'd leave that question at.
That's awesome, man. No, I think it's like there's just tons and tons, like mic drop, absolutely, really good advice. So what would be like the one thing, man, I know we kind of talked about it a little while ago, but like just in general, right? Like if you were to go back to 21 years old, 'cause there's a lot of people that are young, right? That watch, and maybe they're not even in real estate at all. I mean, maybe they're looking at the world right now and they're looking at cryptocurrency, they're looking at the stock market, they're looking at real estate, they're looking at Walmart automation, drop shipping, right? And they're just trying to figure it all out.
Sure,
I mean,
of course.
What's your recommendation to somebody like that, maybe that is just trying to figure it all out?
Try as many things out as you can, and do not be afraid to fail. My biggest regret is that in college, and I'm completely honest and blunt about this, I spent my entire time partying, my fraternity. I was in this cult-like phase with my fraternity. All I cared about was that. I didn't spend any time branching out to think of, granted, we were still in the recession, so it's not like I've always been very passionate about real estate, but every idea I had, I was kind of more in relation to how can I add value to this fraternity, to this organization, which was fun, which is great. I don't regret any of that, but I wish that I would have spent more time just me and my good friend right now who's done pretty well for himself too right now. We always talk about why weren't we like nowadays like with all this social media and all these different things out there, you see these young entrepreneurs at like 18, 24, 22, 20 that are like multimillionaires already. And I'm like, I guess my only regret, even though with not, it's not something I dwell over by any means, but is that I would have been a little bit more trying to, like, we always just laugh about, like, there's this place called Los Favoritos, a little burrito shop.
I go there all the time.
Why didn't we start a Los Favs? Your mom had a meat wholesale connection in LA, and I had capital. We always had these. All we were talking about was that next Lake Havasu trip, and so I would just say at any age, and it's never too late, but like especially for the youngsters, man, with all these, we live in the best country in the world, man. The most amazing place. Anyone can make it here. I went from being, literally less than 5,000 to my name 6 years ago to, to 7 figures net worth. Very proud of what I built and from a organic stand of building, just buying real estate, buy and hold, invest. And I just think that everyone should just get out there and invest in something, and most importantly, invest in themselves.
Oh, I love that.
And that's what it is, whatever it is. And don't be afraid to fail, and do not let anyone hold you back. I've been told no by so many people, including my own parents, and it will never work. Straight up, you'll never be successful at that. Keep your $75K a year job and be comfortable. And I was like, damn, dream crusher.
Right.
It's like now we make that in a month. It's just 100%. That's just what it is, man. And it's not the flex. It's to just nothing makes me happier than to see other people get out there and succeed. When they were kind of almost manipulated at some point too by what everyone else says and the rules and norms of society. And no, there are none. It's simple. You work hard, you stay dedicated, good things will come.
I love it. That's incredible. Yeah. No, it's, dude, again, another mic drop, like just straight fire, and exactly what I think people need to hear. I think the young demographic right now, there's a lot of problems with what, social media has created, this false illusion of success and the timeline that it takes to achieve it. And
that's one that I could go on with.
I know.
Just the guy in front of the green Lamborghini with 1,000 likes, the girl with the Birkin bag, who, we don't know who's taking her on those vacations. There's so many different things and illusions, and it does destroy me what it does to, I can't imagine right now having a daughter or a son, and that's part of the reason too, where I'm so scared of that, not being that far from the age of wanting to put kids on this earth. But like, it's like, man, this world just even from the influence of social media, we need more like people that are preaching the good, like you, man. Like I love your when you start talking about stuff, and you're it's all authentic, and it's like everyone, dude, even me, sometimes I'll get like a random hater DM or something. It's like, I don't even care, man. I open it and I just block, or I just read it and whatever. But it's just so funny because it's like people are always going to hate on people that are actually doing productive things, adding value. 100%. And it's like you move 2 people in that day, dude, and you're crushing it in my eyes.
100%.
And one of those will be me, and I know you're moving way more than that. I just like to hear that, man. It makes me feel good. I'm like, anyone that's promoting some type of positivity, and Joe Rogan talks about this all the time too, it's like, you can't hate on that.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's like how people were giving him crap for how he recovered from COVID. It was kind of weird. It's like, why are you guys so concerned?
I know. It's crazy. People need something to talk about,
exactly.
man.
They always do.
They always do. They always have, Unfortunately, you take anything at scale, you take that many people, you're just going to have a portion of those people that have to be negative. It's just the reality of it. It's a numbers game. It's unfortunate, but it is a numbers game. And I've learned that the hard way. I've learned a lot of that of like, I could do literally everything perfect and people will still find something to pick apart. And nobody's perfect. So it's like, I can't even do everything perfect, but you could try, right? So, no, I love it, man. I think it's just like, like young people, like, and to your point, right? Like, it's exactly what you said. Like, just put on the blinders when you're young. Don't be afraid to fail. Work your butt off, right? Like, go all in. and just like do it. Like just make it happen. Be consistent. Don't give up. It's all the cliche stuff that's actually the truth. Like
it is.
It's like the stuff that you hear and you're like, it's cliche. It's like that because it's the truth.
Right.
You know?
And it's like I have a really good friend who he is a bodybuilder, but he hasn't made it in his career yet to like say our level, like to right to his pivot yet. And I say every time I talk to him about it, I'm like, dude, you'll get there. You just got to start putting in the same amount of time you put in all your time to working out. And that's cool. If that's your thing, I respect that. I love it. I love working out. I need to put more time into working out. But it's like you start to realize that maybe I should put a little bit more time here into this dream of starting this business or that business. Wants to start a restaurant. Dude, have you done any research on it? No. Have you Googled these Greek, Middle Eastern restaurants getting demographics around here? No. There's always a starting point. And that's what I think with the internet nowadays, we all have it, everything. There's just so much you can do. Like I didn't know anything about Airbnb when I started. And we scaled this to now 7-figure grossing business. And dude, I'm just a Joe Schmo. I just put in the time. And so like I feel like I'm just getting started.
It's incredible, dude.
And that's why I want everyone to have that because, you know, no one could say what the market or anything is going to. We get asked this every single day being real estate guys. Is the market going to crash? What's going to happen? We got the sideliner friends that didn't buy, that have been waiting, kind of like tapping their foot. I can't wait for it to crash. This could be.
They've been saying that since 2015.
Been saying that since
2017, whatever.
This could be, which I think it very much is California in the 1990s, and we're getting that wave. So many people, 250 people are moving here a day. No one can tell the future, even if we have a pullback. But I always say to anyone, instead of waiting to buy real estate and wait.
Dollar cost average.
Exactly.
Dollar cost average into the market. And when milk goes, I always tell, it's like when milk goes on sale at the grocery store, you buy more. You don't sell all of it.
Exactly.
So like people, I think like these people just, you can't panic sell in any market. If you own the S&P 500 and you buy it right now and it dips down, or you're either going to be the guy that sells it at the bottom or you hold until the next bull run. Right. And then buy more at the bottom. Right. So like but you just got to, that's how you got to do it. You got to play the long-term game. Right.
Always.
So it's real simple. People overcomplicate it, I think.
They really do. So. And I mean, that's another thing too, where it's kind of like, I try my best, and I know all of our jobs as real estate advisors, and we're in the industry, to just kind of really try and help people understand that. People really do overthink it, and I'd rather go into Bitcoin and buy a home, and
I know.
But
it's crazy.
It's crazy, man.
Man.
It is crazy, but hats off to anyone though that is investing in anything and getting involved in any type of investments, because you're taking a chance in, I know some guys that made some big money in crypto, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't understand it at first, and I'm just now, I have a little bit in there, but everyone has their kind of thing, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's good, but it is good to diversify a little bit as well, like anything, because we don't know what's
nobody
gonna
knows.
happen.
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, phenomenal time, phenomenal interview. I feel like we could go all day. We could talk. we could do more. I can bring you back on for sure.
Yeah, I would love to, man. I'd love to chop it up with you anytime.
Yeah. We'll bring you back on. But where can people find you, man? It's like Instagram, Facebook.
So Instagram would be at MevCity. Okay. And then also if you want to look at some of our properties, at travel_Travatude.
Okay, perfect. And I'll link everything down below, and YouTube and pod and all the everything. So his information will be down below.
Sweet.
George, I appreciate you being on, man.
Thanks again for having me.
Definitely get you back on soon.
Absolutely, man. Thanks again. And everyone out there, keep your head up, and God bless.
Keep it happening. See you soon.